Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the first of a four-part presentation about a new course called Real Statistics, an Islamic Approach. In this part, we will discuss how an Islamic approach matters to the teaching of statistics, and in particular, we will be concerned with the question of how we can teach statistics in such a way that it becomes an act of worship, and how the students can learn statistics in such a way that that becomes an act of worship. Because for a Muslim, all our acts are supposed to be acts of worship. Before we discuss the particulars, we must discuss the general idea which underlies the creation of this course. And this is that 14 centuries ago, Islamic teachings launched a revolution in world history. But when the Ummah was at bottom and the early Muslims became the leaders of the world, but today it seems as if the power of Islam has been lost. Islam has become a stranger to the Muslims. The Ummah is once again covered in ignorance and darkness, and it doesn't seem that Islamic teachings have that power today. The Ummah, at least, instead of looking to Islam for guidance, looking to the West for guidance. So one of the new things that we are told that we must learn if we want to progress is statistics. And obviously statistics does not come from the tradition of Islam. It is not part of the Quran and the Hadith. So there is this dilemma that faces us, that on the one hand it seems like today's world requires us to acquire Western knowledge. So if that is true, then the teachings of Islam are not sufficient for our guidance today. On the other hand, the Quran assures us that it provides us with perfect and complete guidance. So how can we resolve this contradiction? And how can we learn to see that Islam can launch the same revolution today as it did 1400 years ago? It has still exactly the same potential that it did 1400 years ago. So the goal of this online course is to rebuild the discipline of statistics on Islamic foundations. Today, this is just as a demonstration that Islam offers us revolutionary insights on all dimensions of our life, including this small thing, which is teaching and learning statistics. So this course is not really about statistics, it's about how we can apply Islam to all dimensions of our lives and all areas of knowledge. So to understand why Islam can be applied, we must understand that the basis, the foundation of Western knowledge which has been constructed over the past few centuries, this basis is fundamentally flawed. But it is hard to take such a big thesis, so we break it down into small parts, and just let's focus on statistics. In statistics, there is a famous proverb called lies, damn lies. In statistics, it just shows how statistics is used very often to deceive people. The most widely sold textbook of all time is How to Lie with Statistics by Darrell Huff. This was published sometime in 1955. and it has sold more copies than all other textbooks of statistics put together. So the goal of this new course is not really to learn how to analyze numbers, it is to learn how to avoid being deceived by statistics and statisticians. And the deceptions that are created by the Western structures of knowledge occur at both low levels, like in statistics, and at high levels, the entire structure of knowledge that has been built up over the past centuries. So a bigger thesis that we want to discuss, and I have discussed in other places, is that the whole of social science is flawed. The models of human behavior they used in economics are based on selfishness, greed, competition, things which are very inhuman. Politics is dominated by ideas which come from Machiavelli that everything, there is no morality and you can do anything you like, cheat, deceive, be harsh and cruel in pursuit of power. And the society has been built so that everyone is pursuing the pleasures of the nafs, and in fact the money, power, luxury, pursuit of desires, this is the only God that is acknowledged by the Western social science. And the result has been disastrous. Families have broken down, people are extremely unhappy, committing suicides in larger numbers in the Middle Ages and with prosperity. There has been continuous warfare since World War II, and the centuries have been the deadliest to mankind. Millions of innocent civilians killed for no purpose, and the impending climate catastrophe which comes about because of the greedy pursuit of power and profits by corporations. This threatens the life of all human beings on the planet. The Prophet ﷺ made dua for useful knowledge and sought protection from useless knowledge. So, at the first step, we must understand, is the statistics that we are teaching useful knowledge or is it useless knowledge? So I would like to argue that as we currently teach it, it is useless and harmful knowledge. Basically, it is used to deceive. It can be used to deceive ourselves and to deceive others. So we need to develop an Islamic approach to convert it to useful knowledge. It is just like taking the poison from the snakes and converting it into a medicine. So unless we do this change, it is not even permissible for us to teach a subject which is used for deception. But if we do carry out the conversion, if we do convert statistics in such a way that we use an Islamic approach to teach it, then it will be true that the students who write notes in it, the ink will be worth more than the blood of the shuhada. So as the Western approach treats it, statistics is not part of ilm, but it is possible to make the conversion, it is possible to change it so that it does become part of ilm. So the point is to see how we can do that. So to understand the difference, you have to understand the nature of knowledge. In the West, knowledge is meant to convert us into human resources. The goals of Western knowledge is to strive for money, for power, for luxury. And basically this knowledge emerged in the process of colonization, which was the conquest of the globe in order to achieve power and to use this power to exploit the weak. The morality which is associated with the global conquest is that everything is fair in the pursuit of pleasure and power and profits. And the market society that emerged turns everything into commodities. So in the West, everything is for sale, which means that money is all powerful. And therefore, today, the biggest religion which dominates the hearts and minds of mankind is the pursuit of money. This is a universal religion, cuts across all others. As opposed to this, Islam has a different conception of knowledge. Islam says that human beings are the best of the creation, but they can also be the worst. And the knowledge is that which we use to learn how to be the best of the creation, learn how to be human beings. The Islam places a great value on human life. If you save the life of somebody, it is as if you have saved all of humanity. We have to see how we can develop the capacities for excellence which every human being is born with. And so if we do that, if we use education, if we use knowledge to create an internal transformation in the lives of the people, this is what Islam teaches us to do, and this is what the responsibility of the teacher is, how to change the lives of the students. Today, to understand the condition of the Ummah, it is very helpful to compare it with what happened when Greek philosophy was translated and the Muslims became extremely impressed with this philosophy. The Mu'tazila considered that the Greek philosophy was on par with the Quran, but they didn't call it Greek philosophy, they called it reason. Today, all of that which they considered as reason has been proven to be false. The modern problem is that the modern Mu'tazila are so impressed with modern Western knowledge that they consider it to be superior to the Quran. There are many examples where when you see that Western knowledge conflicts with what the Quran and Islam is teaching us, then you say that, then Islamic economists have said that what the West says is right and the Quran needs to be reinterpreted to make it conform to what the West is saying. So the antidote that the Imam Ghazali developed was that he wrote the book Tahafutul Falasifa, which rejected the Greek wisdom, and today we need to do the same thing. We need to reject Western wisdom, and this lecture is about demonstrating how statistics is really deception by numbers. So it is not wisdom. And the second part of his work was Ahya Ulumuddin. He showed how the religious sciences applied to all dimensions of human knowledge. And today we need to do the same thing. We need to show how Islam applies to statistics. The third book that Ghazali wrote, well, he wrote many others, but one of them was Deliverance from Error, Al-Munqidh min al-Dalal. So this was about how we can free ourselves from the deceptions, from the wrong knowledge that we have absorbed. So this is, from that I just take one point, that a key thing is to unlearn. We have been taught a lot of falsehoods by the Western education, which is useless and harmful knowledge. And so this has to be removed before we can start understanding Islam. So there's a huge number of false things that we have learned, but the most important of these is the attack on our identity and our self-worth. Western education teaches us that we are commodities for the sale in labor market, as opposed to Islam, which teaches us we are the ahsan taqweem, the best of the creation. And the Western education teaches us that the value of life is the amount of money that you can earn, the price at which your life sells in the labor market. And Islam teaches us that every human life is equivalent to the entire humanity in potential. That is, if we develop the capabilities, just like a seed, when it turns into a tree, it can generate thousands of seeds. So a human body or a human being has the potential to turn into a human being, and then he can change the lives of billions. Unlike a Western educator, a Muslim teacher has a tremendous responsibility. He has to bring out the potential. He has to make the students aware that their lives are precious, beyond anything that can be purchased in the market. He has to use the education he is providing to change their lives and to make them, enable them, empower them to change the lives of all around them. And this requires working on the intentions and making this into an act of worship, and making this a way to connect with God, who is all powerful, and He can change us, He can change our lives, and He can change the world for the better. How we can do this in the context of teaching statistics is the goal of this online course, for which I am providing the links here, and the later portions of this talk will address more specifically what we need to do.